This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hello everybody and welcome to a wonderful day here in Africa. We're currently live with 5 young lion cubs and 2 adult females. Good afternoon everybody and welcome to a wonderful sunset drive here in South Africa. My name's Jared Dupree. We've got Marcel behind the camera and you're coming to us live at Ambion Pinder Private Game Reserve. And a warm welcome to all the kids who are joining today. Please do remember to send through all your questions. Do email them to kidssquestions@wildearth.tv. If you do have any questions about these lazy little lion cubs in front of us, or anything else, please do send them through. So for those of you who followed us this morning, we were here at the exact same place with these 5 little lion cubs, and the last we saw of them, they were actually feeding. And you can see now they are completely in a food coma. They have eaten far too much, their bellies are far too full, and now all they want to do is sleep while they digest all the meat that they ate this morning. So currently you should be able to see all 5. So you've got the one that's looking at us, its sibling behind it to the right, then another 2 behind it to the left, and if you pan a little bit more to the left, right next to something that is red, there is a cub busy lying or sleeping on the remains of a wildebeest. So that is what they have been eating, and that's why their belly is full. Over the last 3 days or so, they've been slowly eating away at this big wildebeest over here. Alright, so we're going to stick around and hopefully we will see some action here. But for now, we're going to head over to Lauren.
Good afternoon, everyone. We have just had the most incredible moment. And it has completely taken me by surprise because I just discussed this yesterday on yesterday afternoon's drive. Where we are currently looking is a dwarf mongoose, but there's also a plated lizard in there, a giant plated lizard. I think it's a common plated. And they were just sitting together. I really, really hope it comes back out. I think we're going to sit here and see if it does. I have never seen that before. That's a first for me. My name is Lauren and I do have BK on camera today. And this is a termite mound that we pass almost every day. And we had the dwarf mongoose in it yesterday. And they don't always choose the same mound. They have a network of mounds that they use. So sometimes you'll see the same business of mongoose, but sometimes you might not see them. They might not use this mound. But clearly this one's in favour. And there's also a plated lizard using the same mound. And they seem to just be cohabiting quite happily. I actually have the moment. I think I can show you. Dove, you're right. Maybe they have became the best of friends. Now, I'm just going to show you the moment because I don't know how else to describe it. Beaks, beaks, if you're ready. Hopefully you can all see this. I took a quick snap before we went live. And can you see that? Amazing. A reptile. Also a ferocious predator in its own right, sitting next to a small mammal. Incredible. I think we might just sit here. I think it's worth it to see something like that. Oh, they're very skittish. All we need to do is slightly move in the vehicle and everything runs inside. But the biggest lesson you can learn in the bush, trust me, is patience. Just put your patience pants on and sit and wait it out. It's always worth it. Even with Ribbon's cubs this morning, everyone, we found them. And it has taken me days of some very, very quiet drives. Maybe not the most exciting drives of just working on this, trying to relocate Ribbon and cubs. And I did this morning. The cubs are alive and well for anyone who missed it. And of course, we're going to head there today. But I think maybe just waiting to see if we can see this plated lizard again could be quite exciting. We see the monitor lizards quite a lot out here, but the plated lizards are different. Hello, mongoose. Look at that one standing up like a meerkat. Okay, I am going to sit here and hopefully our lizard will come back out.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this side of the Sunset Safari. From Anbion Ngala with me, ROAN and Odie behind the camera. So, we've actually had it's quite a funny afternoon because this morning we left the young male lion sleeping right next to the riverbed. Then we went south and we came back, and just before we got to camp we saw this hyena sleeping exactly where it is right now. And so far, since we've been sitting here, actually the most movement we've seen out of it is just twitching the leg every now and then. So it's got a bit of an injury on the right back leg, and I think it's just being irritated by flies. So you'll see it move it every single now, or like every now, there we go. Same thing with the male lion. He has not moved at all. He is exactly in the same spot. So yeah, quite a lazy day for everyone involved here. So our plan for the afternoon, it is my last drive for quite a while. Sean and I are both leaving for just a bit of time off. So we're planning on making it a big one. What we might do from here is head west towards a pan system where we used to find Twatsimotso male. And then, if we're lucky, we'll spend some time with him. If not, we'll definitely come back to the young male lion. See later on, maybe he starts calling, when it gets cooler again. A little bit of vocalization. But I think for now, we'll spend a bit of time with just the sleeping hyena. Looks very at peace like that, doesn't he? Like I said, not too much movement other than the leg coming up and down. Paul, you're absolutely right. A lot of cloud cover, and that's what we were saying earlier. When you walked out of your room, it was cold. Had to put on a fleece, and then we came on drive, and the cloud was gone. Sun was coming out, and it's very hot, and you take off your fleece, and now the sun's gone again behind a cloud, and it's actually rather cold again. So Paul, it's not the time of year for rain, but maybe. It was supposed to rain today. It said only 0.2 milliliters, so not a lot, but let's see. I hope we don't get stuck in the rain at all. So I think we are gonna leave this hyena, let it sleep for a little while longer. Hopefully it doesn't get caught in the rain either, and start heading west. But for now, we're going to send you back to Twalu and Dylan, who just wants to say good afternoon.
Good afternoon from another amazing day at Swala Kalahari. Jandre and myself, Dylan, we're going to be with you the whole time. It's going to be an absolutely spectacular afternoon. I know this already. Birds are out, they're active. We're out, we're active. Just join us on this amazing, exciting time. I think it's going to be really, really good. We don't have any particular stuff planned this afternoon. We're going to be scavenging around, seeing whatever we can find. and just ask questions, send them through, engage with us. It'll be, as always, if we can't answer it, we'll find someone that can. We're just looking at this activity nest over here. They're obviously having a very, very busy afternoon. There's no chicks in this particular nest, which is quite interesting. Normally, by this, this stage, all these chicks have fledged now. But just I'm looking at this flurry of activity here, and lots of building going on, lots of nest maintenance, which is quite interesting. But what a nest, eh? And you saw you got a rough idea of the scale of it when I was standing next to it. I've just moved a little closer just so we can, we had a little glitch on the comms over there, on my pack over here. But this is amazing. I mean, look at that. So this afternoon, we're going to head quite far north. We're actually just waiting for the field rangers. They've been picking up on some very fresh cheetah tracks from that female that we followed yesterday. So we're just waiting to see if there's any feedback on that, in fact, whether she's actually caught something or not. And then we'll make a call. So we're kind of like in a bit of limbo here at the moment, just waiting for that feedback. Once we get that, then we'll know what we want to do. But it's just good being out, regardless. Yeah, I think I'm just going to spend a little bit more time here and wait for that feedback, and then I'll make a call as to what I want to do from here.
Have you ever had the feeling you're being watched? Well, BK and I definitely did. We haven't moved from the termite mound, and we just looked across our other shoulder, and there is a giraffe peeking his head through the trees watching us. But I think it's bored now and has gone back to feeding. That's all happening this afternoon. I think it's a male. I haven't got the best. Yes, it is a male. And our little family of mongoose arrived, but BK's going to have to move super, super slowly, not to scare them. Very skittish, these mongoose. Unfortunately, the plated lizard did not reappear, which is rather sad. But at least our mongoose are still here. In the same family as meerkats, her pests today. And look at that one standing up. They're full of itchies and scratchies today. We've been watching them groom one another for quite a few minutes now. Having another individual of your own species grooming you is very, very helpful. It's really difficult to scratch your own back. But within mongoose businesses, lion prides, wild dog packs, they help each other. Logan and Blake, you're asking what do mongoose eat? There's actually many different types or many different species of mongoose that we get out here. But the dwarf mongoose, these ones in particular, are the smallest, hence the name dwarf, and they have a ferocious appetite. They will eat all sorts of insects, including centipedes, scorpions, small reptiles, not the plated lizard. I'm actually going to grab my book and see if I can find a nice photo of the plated lizard for you. But I'm talking maybe small geckos, eggs, any sort of eggs the dwarf mongoose come across. So they're carnivores. They eat other animals. They don't eat fruit and vegetables, which is naughty. Okay, I'm just going to try and see if I can quickly find this lizard for you, because it's a very unique one that we don't see too often. We see the monitors a lot, but not the lizard, and it's far too big for the dwarf mongoose to eat, which is exactly why, well, they didn't eat it. Okay, BK, I've got a nice picture here for you in my book. So I think This is the one that we saw, the giant plated lizards. I'm just going to hold it nice and still, and you can see that it's really a large lizard. I think it can reach almost 70 centimeters in length. That's almost a similar size to the monitor, if not just a little bit smaller. The really powerful tail. They actually store fat in their tails, believe it or not, just like crocodiles do. It's a reptilian feature. All the fat that they eat, they can store it in their tails for reserves when it comes to winter and it's harsh and there's not much food around. Imagine that, packing in the fat in your tail for when you're feeling like a little snack. It doesn't quite work like that, but it's a very impressive feature shared with crocodiles. Okay, I think we are going to say goodbye to this little business of mongoose for now and head on to Ribbon's Den.
So not much has happened. These 5 young lions haven't moved an inch, besides the one that just briefly just lifted its head up to have a look at us and then flopped back down again. And this has got me thinking about something that I have always been very interested in, is weather and animal behavior. And sitting here, it's a cloudy day like it is in Djuma and at Ngala, and how a windy, cloudy day just makes me want to cuddle up and not do too much. I've always wondered what that will do for lions. We know that all different species will be affected by weather in different ways. So a windy day like today would make rhinos more nervous, but it probably wouldn't do too much to the lions. I don't think there's that many weather conditions that affect lions majorly. I think maybe extreme changes in weather, when you've had a lot of cool days and then it's hot. All of a sudden, on those hot days, they're probably not going to do too much. And then you'll notice as well, when it's been very hot, then all of a sudden you have a big drop in temperature, and then they will rest up like this. But I don't think their behavior at all at the moment is altered by the weather. I just think that they have eaten far too much. You can even see, if you have a close look at the belly of the lion that's the closest to us, look how quickly that poor little lion is breathing. There's quite a few reasons for that, and probably the biggest reason is that he has just eaten far too much, and his body is now working overtime to break down all that meat that's in his belly, and therefore he is overheating because he's using energy to break down that meat, and energy produces heat, so internally he's overheating. It's not a very hot day today, but I'm sure in some ways externally he could be slightly hot as well, or he or she, we don't know yet, and so he's trying his best to cool down. Rack. I think there's quite a few reasons why lions are always so tired. One, because of their feeding habits. They tend to gouge themselves to the point that they can't eat anymore. Whereas with leopards, you'll find that although they do eat a lot, they kind of will space out their feeding sessions. So they'll put their kill in a tree and they're not too worried about something stealing it. Cheetah will also pretty much eat as much as they can. But I think with lions, the main reason why they always seem to be sleeping is that they don't have too much to worry about. When you're the king of the jungle, you're the highest on the food chain or highest on the predator chain, everyone else is scared of you. There's not too much you have to worry about. The only real threat to these lions here would be another pride of lions, but typically lions don't cross into other lions' territories, although it does happen from time to time. And the other threat to them might be elephants, actually. A big herd of elephants coming through to this area. Elephants don't like lions, and they can chase them. There have been lion cubs being killed by elephants before, but fortunately for these lions, elephants are big and they do make quite a bit of noise, so they would hear them coming off from a bit of a distance. They're not going to be surprised by elephants. So if you take those two factors into account, there's not too much for them to worry about, and that's why they probably do this all day long. For about 20 hours a day they sleep like this, and I'm sure there's a lot of you back home wishing right now you could be a lion and just sleep and lie on the couch for 20 hours. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to change up a bit. I was hoping that we'd have some active lions with it being a little bit cooler now. So we're going to leave these lions and we're going to go for broke. We're going to head into the far southwest of the reserve to see if we can find any signs of those cheetah that Damon saw yesterday with that duiker. I'm sure they have moved on for the duiker. And if we find nothing there, we can always come back here.
Oh, I don't think I could be a lion and sleep all day. I've got far too many ants in my pants for that. I need to be active. Now, we just had the most spectacular views of this giraffe. I'm going to try and go forward. We're right underneath it. It's with this gorgeous view into its... Oh, dear. Come on, Wendelin. Just really relaxed. Hello, boy. It's okay. I just want to say hello. Because you're stunning. I'm just going to go a little bit further forward, BK. I think that'll work if he continues to eat. And you can see that long black tongue. It's about 30 centimeters, 45 inches, that tongue. Reason being they stick their tongue out to grab food. And it's very, very thick, filled with melanin, which gives it a rubbery feel. And it makes the tongue black, which looks rather bizarre. But it helps protect the tongue. Giraffes are always poking their heads into vegetation that has spines or thorns and jaggy bits, which could be rather unpleasant when they enter your mouth. So that's why they've got really, really thick lips and a thick tongue. This is the most relaxed male giraffe, I have to say, I've seen in a long time. We're right underneath him. Seacrest Studios, good to hear from you all. You are asking, how tall can they get? Well, a male can go up to a maximum of 6 meters. So that would be about 18 feet. But normally, on average, they come in at around 5 meters, which is 15 feet. Now, the females are a little bit shorter, so they come in at, from height about 4 meters, which is 12 feet. So they're very, very tall animals. And believe it or not, wild giraffe populations have declined by about 40% in the last 30 years. So they're listed as vulnerable. And they're listed as a single species, giraffe, but actually there is 4 newly classified species. There's 4 different species of giraffe. Let's listen to this giraffe feeding. I hate to use the same words, but this is really quite magical. He's about 5 meters, if that, away from us. See his tongue. Look at those long eyelashes to protect the eyes when they're also sticking their head into the vegetation. Great job, BK. This is incredible. enjoy his lunch, and we're still going to try and make it to Ribbonsden.
Good afternoon and hello, and assorted other greetings from around the world in whatever language you choose to be watching this show. Well, you don't really have a choice. You have to watch it in English at the moment because that's all any of us speak. My name is James Hendry. David is on camera.
Hello.
That's his thumb, believe it or not. And over there is a herd of impala. And we're watching that herd of impala because, well, it's alarm calling. And this is a roundabout where we left Tundi the leopardess this morning. And one or two of them are very uneasy and they're making that alarm call. But if they had seen the leopard, you'd expect it to be a really angry alarm call. And you'd expect it to be coming from all of the members of the herd and not just one or two. I don't know if they may be just looking at David. I think we need to move, David. I think they're looking down here. I think they're looking down that way, and they're shouting. I think whatever it is that's making them shout is not that close. But there's something going on here. We drove to exactly where she was this morning, and we couldn't see anything. So what are they looking at? It's not all of them, it's just a few. Is there a leopard sleeping in a tree here, maybe? Maybe one having a drink somewhere close by? Dove, in my experience, you really got to make an impala think you're a leopard before it will alarm call at you, and then they will. If you hunt an impala or, hide behind bushes and stalk them, then yes, they do alarm call at you. But if you don't do that, then no, they don't. Stick our heads over the top here. Make sure I'm not missing something obvious. We've got a little grebe, some terrapins. Now they're walking down this way, the impala, to look here. Why are they doing this? Hot has got their zigs. No, there's something here. Now 3 or 4 of them are alarming. And they're all looking down towards the riverbed there. Let's go back again, David. Something's going on there. Something's going on. Now let us go to the base of the mountains at Hoedspruit, to Pridelands, where there is a giraffe waiting to say hello.
So at the base of the mountains in Hoedspruit, we've got a couple of giraffe feeding on what is a very, very thorny tree, but looking like they're enjoying it nonetheless. We've just had our lunch as well. So, welcome to Pridelands Conservancy. I'm Mike Anderson. Behind the camera is Gert, and we will be showing you what is around today. These giraffes are the second animals we found. We found a herd of elephants earlier, and they rushed off to be somewhere else. And we found these giraffes whilst moving towards a waterhole, and the light was just so beautiful that we could not pass them up. I mean, it's one of the most unique animals you could ever find. I mean, have you ever seen anything else with such a long neck? So if you look closely at that tree, it's got a lot of thorns. It's actually called a buffalo thorn. And the buffalo thorns have very, very sharp hooks and very sharp spikes. But you can see those lips on the giraffe are very furry and fuzzy and very thick. So they don't feel it at all. For them, it's very, very comfortable. You can see how it keeps its ears back by its head so it doesn't get its ears all scratched up. And its eyelashes are also super, super thick, so it's protected. Just now, this giraffe was actually eating from a tree called a tambuti. And a tambuti is a very toxic tree. If we ate even one of those leaves, we would have a very, very terrible stomach. But I suppose the giraffe's stomach is a bit different to ours. In fact, they've got 4 of them, which is very interesting. I might explain that a little bit later. See how it's just clipping gently the edges of the leaves. It's trying its best not to get any thorns in its mouth, but sometimes they can't help it. But this is actually a female giraffe. If you look at the top of the horns, on top of its head there, they're very, very fuzzy and furry. So that means that it's a female. The male giraffes, the boys, will have much, much thicker horns with much less fur on top. And that's because they fight all the time. They fight with their horns, they swing their heads like clubs. Look how it really pushes its long nose in that tree there. Look how its lips, oh, I think it's got a thorn. I don't know if you saw that, it was curling its lips in a way that made me think it had a thorn. So you actually did see some giraffes this morning necking with Lauren. That's awesome. So you know exactly how they do it. And for those of you who don't, it's very, very aggressive. It's wonderful to see, though, because it's quite an interesting and unique behavior. I don't know any other animals that actually swing their heads to smash into each other like clubs. But this giraffe, if you look closely at this female giraffe, you might actually see its tongue popping out every now and again. And what's interesting about the tongue on this giraffe, or all giraffes, is that it's very dark in color. Let's just have a look if we can see that. Yeah, every now and again you see it just popping out. And now there's lots of different reasons why it might be dark. One of the theories, because remember, we don't know for sure, we're not 100% certain, but one of the theories, one of the ideas is that the dark color helps them to be protected from the sun, so that they don't get sunburn on their skin, on their tongue, which would be very uncomfortable. I mean, if anyone's ever had sunburn before, it's uncomfortable enough. Imagine getting sunburn inside your mouth. Oof. In the background, you can just hear some squirrels twittering away as well. So they sometimes don't like it when the giraffes come and feed too close to where their nests are, because if they disturb the branches too much, they can disturb the youngsters. I don't think that's what's disturbing the squirrel, though. I think there's probably a bird of prey flying around somewhere. So we're going from a very tall animal to a very short animal with Lauren.
I can't seem to get to the drain. There's just too many wonderful sightings. We have 3 warthogs on a termite mound. Now that's not something you see every day, trust me. There's one at the top, really, really busy with eating something. And normally they're really, really skittish. I can't even begin to tell you how many warthogs we've framed up and ran off. But these 3 are really relaxed, which makes me slightly concerned that Ribbon is not there. But still, we'll check. Wow. Now, they actually have different diets in winter and summer. In summer, because the grass is so long and delicious and thick and palatable, their diet's mainly grassies. But now it's winter and the whole environment has changed. Everything's dying slowly. The grass is no longer lush or really palatable. So during winter, they tend to dig a lot more. So you'll see warthogs down on their wrists or that little joint above their hooves, and they'll use their snout and their upper tusks to try and dig at the ground, and what they want is rhizomes. And it's these sort of rhizomes of the grassies, and they'll eat bulbs, they'll eat tubers, And sometimes they'll go for shrubs and fruit if they can find it. Maybe figs, marulas, I don't know, monkey oranges. But really, it's their summer diet that benefits them the most. They're grazers. And just by looking at the shape of their head, the shape of their skull, just like a white rhino, it's heavy. Their head hangs down, strong neck, and that's because they've evolved to graze grass. The black rhino, on the other hand, looks completely different because it's a browser. Browsers need to reach the leaves on trees. They need to have a long neck and their head needs to be held high. So straight away, looking at this warthog, you can see that it's built to graze. Adina, they're part of the bigger pig family, and warthogs are said to be the only pig, and I use that loosely, that's adapted for grazing in this habitat, in this sort of savanna-like habitat. So yes, they're part of the pig grouping. Aren't they just really bizarre? The Pumbas of the bush. This is Pumbaa, or it's supposed to be Pumbaa, from The Lion King. But we shall not go down that route. Well, bye, warthogs. The males can actually come in at about 80 kilograms, which is about 170 pounds, I think. And a female hyena is 90 kilograms. So they're small. They're much shorter than hyenas. They're short and not as sort of long, but they weigh almost the same as a female hyena, like Ribbon. They've completely disappeared. So I think Ribbon's den is just up here. And I'm really not sure if she'll be there. If she's not, as many of you know, we can't stay there. And we won't stay there. We'll just pass and check. We followed Intima and Ribbon this morning to a water hole. They had a drink and then they disappeared. We're right here. Let's check this den and we can get a beautiful view of it. Hyena or no hyena. Here we go. This is Philemon's Dip Den number 3. It's a bit of a mouthful, but that great big hole you can see, the cubbies are inside there. Smells awful, everyone. And just before I pull away, because we're going to leave, I just want to show you this wet patch right here. So when we look at termite mounds, we're trying to decide if it's active or not. There's a great big wet patch, which will be urine. I'm not sure who from, but those are, well, that's one of the signs that we look for. We look for track marks, scraping, fresh mud, urine, smell. So I'm going to leave now. It's important that we leave because no one's home. I'll come back and check later if my car doesn't die on me. Voila! Okay. So I will come back and see you soon. Philemon's Dip Den 3. We're going to bumble down south today, see what else we can find. But for now, we're going to send you across to Mike with some mongoose.
So from one animal that uses a den to another. This animal over here is a dwarf mongoose, the smallest of all the mongoose that we have. And this one is actually just catching the last of the sun rays before that cold, blustery wind comes again. Clouds keep coming over, and all these small animals don't like the cold, not much at all. So this little guy has just popped his head out of a termite mound, which it is probably using as a den site. The rest of them have just run off to another larger mound a little bit further away. And this one just feels like it wants to stick and enjoy the solitude, enjoying a bit of alone time. Nothing wrong with that. So these little guys have sharp little teeth, and they do eat little insects, grubs, whatever they can dig up and forage around. And in fact, the reason why we saw them is because there were a lot of small birds following them. So what happens is, as these dwarf mongoose dig around and forage through the grasses, they disturb other insects. And as these insects run away and fly away and escape, and the birds can catch them and get a little snack. So sometimes the birds even surprise the mongoose by copying their calls. Very interesting. The mongoose have learned that some birds can copy their calls to try and trick them into thinking there's danger, to steal their food away. It's very sneaky. I'm sure you've seen the meerkats at Swalu. They are very, very close related to these dwarf mongoose. Also live in big families, and this family probably has about 10 or 15 individuals, and they all range from this one to ones much, much smaller, maybe even half the size. Can you believe it? This one here is only probably about the size of my fist, so very, very small. See its tiny, tiny ears? Can you all see that? And then when it looks at us, you can see it even clearer. Hi there. Those tiny ears mean that it's an animal that likes to live underground. If it had really big ears, the dirt would get inside its ears. So Alex is wondering if mongoose are the smallest carnivores in the bush. Alex, you're definitely correct. One of the very smallest. They often say that it is the smallest social carnivore, meaning that it's the smallest carnivore that lives in a group. And now you can really see those claws that it uses for digging out the grubs, and those small little ears, and its beady little eyes. Keeps looking at us. Hi there, how you doing? So yes, Alex, they are definitely classed as carnivores because they don't only eat insects. They might catch small rodents like mice. They might even catch and eat small snakes. Mongoose are very, very well known for being incredibly agile. Or we might about to see this one be very agile as it dashes off. So yes, they are carnivores and are very, very small. I'm not sure exactly the weight of a dwarf mongoose, but it's very small, as I said, only about the size of my fist. They've got beautiful brown eyes. They look so soft. I wonder what a dwarf mongoose feels like. Have any of you ever felt a dwarf mongoose? I don't think so. They're very, very fast. So you can see that little twitchy nose as well. So they've got a very long nose. I don't know if you noticed when it turns sideways. It's often how you can tell what animal uses as its main sense. They use their sense of smell quite a lot. So this mongoose is now interested in what all the birds are doing. Perhaps there's a bit too many birds around and it wants to go and hide. Or just have a good scratch. I don't know if you can hear all the birds in the background. The birds are following the mongoose. Sarah, you're right. These are some of the very cutest little animals that you can get. You know, often we see them, but we don't often get to see them closely like this. Quite often we just see them running across the road. But now it's nice to have actually a look at their perfect little body. Short, stout little limbs, wonderful, strong bodies. They're so cute when they look up like that. Hello. They often stand up on their back legs to look over the grasses because they're so small. As you can see, they don't really see over the grasses easily. So they have to be very, very careful. Oh, there it goes, dashing off. Yong. It's going to go and join its friends.
So we are now sitting in a spot we like right on the edge of our signal range, just so you're aware. So if we do break up, we apologize. We're taking a flying chance over here. We don't have a lot to go on, but there's a very, very, very special animal, and I can't tell you what it is yet. It's not a crocodile, it's not a whale, and it's not a shark. That's all I can say. But I don't want to tell you too much. I'd rather keep you on the edge of your seat watching and listening. But one of our teams of trackers found it early hours this morning, and it's not what a lot of you are thinking, because I can read minds, so you're all wrong. But it could be, it's definitely something else. But anyway, I'm not going to reveal it. We're just going to spend we're going to spend quite a lot of time, and I'll make a call at some point if I think it's worth sitting any longer or not. But let's see. I love keeping people in suspense. I think I'm just going to stay sitting here. And remember, kids' session is over, so just keep your questions coming. If whoever wants to ask whatever, please go for it. Zenton says, It's an armored ground cricket, isn't it? No, it's not, but just because of that, I think we should try find one. That's like a favorite animal. And I can't give you clues either because it'll be too easy. It'll be too much of a giveaway. Okay, I've got a question. How do you keep people in suspense? I'm just going to stay sitting right where I am.
What I was doing there was keeping the final control in suspense. we haven't managed to find anything around here, I'm afraid, except the impalas. Same impalas. They are looking around the place. It was a very non-committal sort of alarm call. David's convinced that they were alarming at us. Well, it's not totally impossible because when we did stop, all they would have seen of us would have been our heads. And there was a warthog that was running around, almost herding them. It was quite funny to watch. Anyway, we'll move on from here soon. I can see the giraffe now, David. Can you see it?
I don't.
Oh.
Ah, yes.
Yes, there we are. There we go. Long distance view of a bull giraffe eating some leaves, accompanied by a fork-tailed drongo. And the colours of the dying leaves of the Combretum apicuratum, or red bush willow. And now the sun's come out, which is lovely, casting the afternoon. What kind of a light should we say? It's a sort of honeyed light, I think. Creamed honey. Michael, it depends where you go on safari as to when the best time of year to go on safari is. I have a fairly standard answer for this particular question. There are 4 seasons in the year, obviously. Not so much here, but for the purposes of this discussion, we're going to say that there are. Why am I turning around? I want to go this way. And basically, you've got from, let's say, March, April, May is weather-wise the best time to come. There's no rain. It's little rain. It's warm, but not blindingly hot. You get relatively long evenings in comparison with winter, so that's great. Slight disadvantage is that there's still a lot of water around, and so the animals are quite spread out, but it's a good time. There's no bad time. This is in South Africa. And then you've got June, July, August, the winter. It's pretty chilly in... Oh, that's interesting. It's pretty chilly in the mornings and in the evenings, but it's not too bad. Hello? We're just in the middle of a discussion. See you later. Yes. Winter's great, though, because you can spend the whole day out if you want to. The leaves are starting to fall off the trees. The vegetation's sort of becoming thinner, so the game viewings are becoming a bit easier. It's a lovely time of the year to be out here, and in fact many people call it South Africa's best kept secret. And then you get September, October, November, which is normally very hot, very dry, scenically not as attractive as other times of year, but the best game viewing time. It's uncomfortably hot in September and October and November, and there's no rain, and there's very little vegetation, but the water's all concentrated, which means the game viewing's excellent. So, you know, it's actually not unattractive if used, but if you're not used, it can look very harsh. Then there's the sort of full summer, which would be December, January, February, rain, greenery, baby animals. It's beautiful, it's hot, long evenings, early mornings. But again, now the bush gets a bit thicker again, so the game viewing is not quite as good, but it's still good. So it really just depends. There's no bad time to come here. If I was to give a really kind of strict answer, I'd say best game viewing time is that sort of September, October, November period when it's very hot, and it depends on how used to this landscape you are as to how attractive you find it, but it can be quite nice for game viewing. Weather-wise, yeah, the months preceding these. I would say the same applies for Ngala, but maybe Rowan will have a different take.
Absolutely. It kind of depends what you're after. If you are coming for photography, I would say spring or summer, but then mosquitoes, ticks, all of these things are also things to take into account. Of course, I think our hottest day this year was about 44 degrees Celsius, so depends what you're into. I like winter, like James said, the water is quite concentrated. The bush isn't as thick. You tend to find more things, well, on a good day, not like today. And it's cooler. You know, you can always put on more jackets, but you kind of have to stop taking clothes off at a certain stage during summer. So I'm a big fan of winter game drive, although photography in summer, I think, is just absolutely gorgeous. So what we've done, we've checked the pan system. Behind us, there is nothing there, not even a sign or track of the Twatimoto male. Just, you know, while we're driving east now in the riverbed, I was thinking that we saw him nearly 3 weeks ago now, and it is possible that it's the last time I would see him again. You know, he's at that age now where the mom won't hunt for him, so he's literally just hanging around, and his father would most probably have kicked him out. So you saw his father yesterday with Barney. He was the half-eared male, and the Tamboti Tom is the other dominant male leopard. We have been hoping to literally just see anything. I think this would be the first animal we're seeing now for quite a long while. There's a big male kudu right in the reeds, in the grass, just left and straight ahead of us. Just see his horns go up and then down to feed every now and then. Shiner, who's only 5 years old, wants to know if big cats like lions move more during winter. So I'm just going to stop here because the kudu is moving off. So Shiner, more during colder conditions. And so, of course, in winter, it is a lot cooler. So they tend to stay active for longer, especially, well, they get active earlier in the afternoon, and they stay active for longer in the morning because it's cooler. So you can imagine on a day where it's 44 degrees Celsius, they don't want to move around during the heat of the day because it's just too hot. It's like you trying to move around wearing a big, thick jacket. You can imagine with the big cats, with all their fur, they'll struggle to move. It's just way too hot. Okay, it seems like the kudu has now disappeared. So let's see if we can actually get a little bit closer. Look like quite a nice specimen. Beautiful horns going up. But, yeah, he's on his own. We can't see any... Oh, he's going up the northern bank. Just saw his horns go up. It's actually quite nice with all the long grass. Even a kudu that tall could just disappear. So we've been hoping to see the trooper baboons. There's a big troop of baboons that sleep in this area. They come here to sleep usually on the northern bank at night. So we're just gonna have a quick look around here and see if we can find them, if they're around. But for now, I'm gonna send you back over to Mikey, old friend of mine, on the Pridelands, who's found some more antelope.
Thanks, Rowan. Yes, he's an old friend of mine, and we have some other friends, some impala, which are just moving through this beautiful golden grass on this nice afternoon. It's nice and calm. All the youngsters following behind the adults, just enjoying a bit of feeding. There was a giraffe here not so far away, the one we saw earlier, and there was 2 zebras as well. So they're feeling very comfortable in the company of these much larger animals who can spot danger from much further away. It's beautiful how they blend into this golden savanna grass. And you can see the male just walking through in the background there. He's herding his females, keeping them safe. Look at how majestic he is. He's regal. What a gentleman. Eh? Following after his ladies. And you can see lots of young ones all around there. All the youngsters from last year also in this group, following on behind. See those ones with the small horns. Rosalind has asked, how often do impalas alarm call? Rosalind, they alarm call whenever they feel threatened. So if they see something dangerous, they will definitely start alarm calling. And if you don't know what their alarm call sounds like, it sounds like a sneeze. If you sneeze, that sounds very similar to what impala's alarm call sounds like. You might hear these impalas making a roaring sound, and that's the males just getting a little bit excited. Now, what they often do is they'll alarm call once or twice if they see something that they don't know what it is exactly at that moment. Sometimes a warthog running through the grass will get them to snort a few times, and then they'll stop because they'll realize, oh, it's just a warthog, we don't have anything to worry about. So for sure, whenever they feel threatened. These ones don't feel threatened, and as you said, as you rightly observed, they look very, very relaxed. But they're all moving off towards the thickets right now, actually towards the bottom end of Leopard Dam. Let's hope the dam doesn't live up to its name and scare them. Right, we're going to be sending you over to Lauren whilst we watch these impalas move off.
I have a juvenile one with a marvelous face and no tail. Except there is a tail, because it's a juvenile battalier. The tail gets shorter and shorter and shorter as they mature and attain their adult plumage. Now this view is perfect because you can actually see straight away it's a juvenile, but battaliers are not true eagles. They're actually a snake eagle. And you can see this perfectly here because the feathers don't go all the way down the leg. And this juvenile does not look like an adult, in my opinion, in any way, shape or form, other than the body outline. I think it's quite a young battalier. You can see the panel on the wing. And the facial shape with the beak. But it's definitely a young one. Battaliers are monogamous, and we very often see mum or dad, or mum and dad, around here somewhere, but I can't see them today. Isn't it gorgeous? Now, battaliers are adept at finding small carcasses. So not a large carcass of a sort of large antelope or bigger. They're adept at finding smaller carcasses before other scavengers. They've evolved that way. A specialized niche to avoid competition. Not all birds of prey can compete with one another. But they don't just scavenge. Battaliers can hunt, and they normally hunt small birds. So for example, doves and pigeons. They will also eat reptiles and smaller mammals. Battaliers would absolutely hunt a dwarf mongoose. Oh my goodness, Shad, you are asking a very unique question. Which bird of prey would I not like to get in a fight with? Shad, to be perfectly honest with you, I really don't want to fight with any bird of prey, to be perfectly honest with you. I'm not a fighter. I'm trying to think. Who would I least like to encounter? They've all got such power behind them. And birds of prey, another name for them is raptors. And I mentioned this before, but it's a really unique word that comes from a Latin verb. And they're called raptors because they grab with their talons. The talons are so sharp, they could really, really injure you. And of course, they've got that really unique pointy beak as well. You've stumped me. I wouldn't like to come face to face with the lappet-faced vultures. Vultures are also classified as raptors, and the lappet face is large, really, really large. Normally, when the lappet face arrives, the others move out the way. You can see there's some sort of respect among vultures when the lappet face arrives, and the size of that beak. Lappets can actually open a carcass when it's completely closed. And yes, bee eater, I would not like to encounter an ostrich at all. Well, I have encountered them, but I don't want to battle with one. Can you imagine little blonde Scottish Lauren battling with an ostrich? I would definitely lose. I think it's safe to say. I don't think ostrich are classified as birds of prey, but I really wouldn't want to encounter one. They're very powerful animals, even martial eagles, as gorgeous as they are. They're so powerful. We found a lot of kills from martial eagles in the Masai Mara, and impala, large impala rams. I'm pretty sure a topi was once, yes it was a topi, was once attacked by a martial eagle. Snakes, large venomous snakes. I just want to admire them from afar. And humans are very terrestrial. Anything coming down on us from the air, well, it would leave you quite flabbergasted. Bashad, what a great question. Okay, we're going to let this marvelous juvenile be, and we're still going to head on into Chitwa.
So we're still doing our stakeout, and I'm still not going to give the game away. Apparently people are asking what bird Lauren would least like to fight. And she's saying, well, what ostrich and or a vulture. I think mine would be a roast chicken. No, I wouldn't need to, I think, fight any bird on Swahili. I know there's like a little bit of suspense here, but I don't know if anyone's answered that question yet. How do you keep someone in suspense? I really can't. I'm dying to tell you. I really want to tell you, but I'm not going to. I can't do this. And you know, I'm just protecting you, because if I tell you, then and we don't see it, then you'll be disappointed. You know, if I don't tell you, we don't see it, it'll be like, okay, well, you know, no problem. At least we know what it isn't. That's a given. All I am going to tell you is we need the wind in our favor in a big way for this. We really, really, really need the wind in our favor, and it is in our favor. It's cutting from right to left. And I'll give you another clue. Maybe here's a little clue. There's a fair amount of grass around, and that's a clue. A fair amount of grass around. So I'm just going to carry on sitting here and enjoying every single moment of this.
So we're also on a stakeout here waiting for something to emerge. What we've got here is a community nest spider's web. So inside here there might be a dozen or so small little spiders living inside these little holes. You might just see some of the holes there. So what they've done is they've actually made the web, and then all this part outside, this is where they live, inside there. All these parts outside here are where they catch the insects that they feed on. This one actually looks like it's not very active right now. Because it's the winter, there's not too many insects around. So the spiders are not maintaining this. They're living inside there trying to stay as warm and safe as possible. As soon as the winter's over and the rains come and it gets a lot wetter and more bugs are around, they'll start to rebuild all this. It'll get much larger, and then they'll start to hunt together. So what will happen is when this has all been made proper, the insects will get caught in here. You see, it's very sticky. If I put my finger just there, and if you can see how it sticks to me. So it gets stuck to the finger very easily, and then the insects will get stuck, and the little spiders will come out. Depending on how large the prey is that they've caught, the beetle or the mosquito or the moth, they'll start to all come out and drag it inside there, and they'll all feed together. So it's quite interesting. There's lots of separate chambers here, so they don't all live in one big chamber. There's lots of separate compartments, because of course they're not too friendly with each other. They're not like lions, which will all lie together. They are definitely wanting to be separated. But this is quite a nice one. It's very well made, and you'll actually see there's quite a few bits of leaf that have fallen in there, and there's actually what looks like some carapace, or the outer body shell of some insects that are been made as part of the web, and that helps it to also be weatherproof. So if it rains a lot, the water will actually roll over the side and not get too much into the web itself. And another thing that they've done is they've actually made their web on this small thorny tree, which means that as this tree gets larger, the web will get protected. Or the inner part where they live will become protected from predators like monkeys, which might try to eat some of them, and birds, of course, because these are very, very spiky. This is actually called a flaky bark acacia. Ian wonders if these spiders have a favorite meal. I don't think spiders are particularly choosy, but I suppose they'd want to eat something which is fat and juicy. So something like a big fat moth, as was flying and crashed in there. Moths have quite soft outer skin, so it wouldn't be that difficult to pierce in. A beetle maybe, which has lots of nice juicy body parts. The abdomen is very, very full of nice things. But of course, something too big would damage their web, so they don't want to catch something too large. So Ian, probably moths, I would say. Moths and butterflies and things like that would probably be what they're going for. It needs to be something large enough that they can all sort of get a little piece of it. If they catch something tiny like a mosquito, it's only going to be one at a time that really gets to eat. So this is really awesome to see, though. I've not seen one this size for a while. On Pride Lands, we haven't seen one for a while. I know in some places you can get these community nest spiders covering a whole bush with the actual part where they live in, and that would mean that there might be more than just 6 or 7 or a dozen. There might be 30 or 40 individuals living inside that little home. So this is really, really awesome. Not so often that we get to see one so perfectly made. Yeah, but they definitely need to do some spring cleaning. This is a mess. This is a mess. Anushka asks if they will eventually abandon the web. That is a good question. Certainly it might seem like they've abandoned it, but this one here, I can see the tunnel systems are very, very neatly kept. So the spiders are almost certainly still in there. I suppose they might abandon this particular home if it was invaded by something that was the predator of these spiders, maybe some sort of mites or ticks or some parasite that lives inside there with them. If it became too many, they might abandon it and start letting out long streams of web that will act like kites, and they'll float on in the wind until they reach another tree. And maybe some of those individuals will all land on the same tree, and then they'll restart the colony. Or they'll land on different trees and have different colonies. So that's also a way they get to spread their genetic material. So yes, they probably do abandon their homes if they have a good reason to. But there's a lot of energy invested in building this thing. So probably they're not going to want to do it all over again, because that's going to take a lot of time and effort. And of course, they need to build their numbers up. The more spiders, the larger it will be, the safer it is, and also the more food they can catch. So yes, they do abandon it, but this one is not abandoned. It's just not very well kept. Maybe it's a group of bachelors. I don't know. Certainly know when I was living in a bachelor pad, it was also quite messy. Kerry, yes, it does. It is kind of weird being so close to these things. I'm not sure how close Gert is zooming in here, but yeah, when you get really up close on this thing, you can see all the little creepy crawly bits, and you can just imagine, I don't want to disturb it, but if you bumped this tree or moved it around a bit, these spiders might come crawling out to see what it was that was disturbing them, and that would make your skin itch. Right, so I think we're going to leave these spiders to do a little bit of spring cleaning, and yes, we'll see you soon.
We have arrived at Chitwa. It's all very quiet, except our little bloat of hippos. I think that's a youngster right at the front there. There's definitely a smaller hippo. You can use the word bloat, but you can also use the word pod. I personally just love to say bloat. A bloat of hippos. Oh, BK, all the way up this tree, I think we have the swallows. Can you see them? How lovely. I think that's the barn swallows. It definitely looks like them through my binos. But if anyone has a clearer view on their screen, you are welcome to chip in. Oh, and the saddleboat stork's over there as well, and I was quite far away. So I'm going to try and direct BK. I think it's here.
Okay.
I think the saddleboat stork's just here. Oh.
Well, I
could see it. I think it's just gone off behind that cluster of vegetation. I always feel a sense of calm when I come to Chitwa. Sometimes it's crazy, especially when you have wild dog sightings. And that's actually one of the reasons I'm here. James had 2 wild dogs the other day. He's convinced that the female was pregnant, quite heavily pregnant. And this really is a denning period for wild dogs. Wouldn't it be great if we could find a wild dog den? There's not many other vehicles traversing Chitwa at the moment, so it's really, really important that we always check in. I'd love to catch up with Kuchava and Cub as well. I haven't managed to be live with the leopard since coming back. I had Shadulu on my first day, but we had some tech problems. And then we did have Nsele the next day. But other than that, I am missing my spots. Could be a lion and just sleep all day. Be a hippo. It's not the most flattering spirit animal, but imagine just getting to spend all day resting in the water. I definitely think I would choose hippo. They will travel to water holes, but normally
Yeah? Oh, that's lucky. Just thinking to myself, you know, I haven't heard from the final control for a little while, and I wonder if we'll ever go live again, and I wonder if we'll find what we're looking for, and thankfully I didn't say any bad words. Right, so I plugged myself back in. Apparently there was a kudu alarm calling up here near the dam cam, and so we've come up here. We found some kudu, probably the ones that were shouting. I haven't found anything for them to shout at just yet. We also had a squirrel that was going, which I don't know. I mean, I can't identify what it was shouting at. But maybe there was something of interest around here. There was a young male lion on this reserve this morning, for sure. We found his tracks earlier. We didn't follow up on him because we were looking for Tundi this morning, and for once we succeeded in finding her. So we didn't worry about the lion. Let's just drive around this part of the world. Don't see any tracks here, except for those of a hyena, which was busy last night. Oh, when you left us, we heard a kudu alarming way down where we were. We searched around there and had absolutely no luck at all. So we don't know what's going on really, but at least at Ngala they've managed to find you a little canid in a clearing.
Finally something. Yeah, we found a black-backed jackal, and it's actually quite weird. Driving from a distance, the only thing I saw, it looks like it was hunting something. It like bounced up into the air, arched its back, and then bounced back down. No, not too sure where it's going. If it keeps going in that direction, it's going to find a herd of impala. Of course, it's not going to try to hunt impala by itself. It's alone. Very quick to disappear into the grass. Keep looking back at us. Absolutely beautiful animal. I do think it might be hunting still. See how the ears are literally just moving in all sorts of directions. And there we lost it. Wow. Quick and nice little find on the jackal. There's a herd of impala I was telling you about. Looks like majority of them are female. I've had impala alarm call a jackal before, but it's mostly the movement of the grass that would scare them, or just the rustling in the grass, you know, because they haven't seen it yet. The jackal is still small enough to disappear into this long grass. See all their ears pricked up, and then go back down to relax and feed. Oh, I'm going to send you back over to James.
No. Well, we've got a leopard. Gosh, at this distance, I don't know. I'm going to say Shadulu, but I could be wrong. She's going to have a drink down here. She's just deposited a nasty smelling package of brown gunk. Well, please don't disappear. Please? Alsjeblieft. Ah, there she is. Having a little drink. No, Slalamba. That's beautiful. Hi. Hi, Tlalamba. There's some very nice light on you. I might take a top-down illegal photograph. Isn't that lovely? What a stroke of luck. Thank you to whoever heard her calling, not her calling, but the kudu calling on the dam cam. That's why we came up here. And the light is just perfect now for her. We were looking for her mother, of course, that's Tundi. And now we will spend as long as possible with her before either the light runs out or she gives us the slip, which, she's quite well known for doing. On we go. Oof, the light on her while she was drinking there was just spectacular. Butterfly, you say she looks beautiful? As I say quite frequently, I dare you to say she doesn't look beautiful on Twitter. You'll get yourself into a lot of trouble. I think she's going to go up the other side, Darva. Let's go round there. Yeah, she's going down towards the water. She does have a lovely look of youth about her, though, I must say. There's a youthful mischievousness in her face that, I mean, again, might be entirely me projecting, but I think is unusual. Of course, we do know her so well because we've watched her from the day she was born, just about, thereabouts. There we go. She's spotted something. Right there, David. That feeling when your memory card is in the wrong slot. I think that's just such a lovely picture there. Isn't that gorgeous? David, what's the matter? David has become hysterical, everybody. I don't know why. He's become utterly hysterical about something or other. I mean, I'm absolutely fine. It's very unusual for the cameraman to be hysterical and for me to be completely fine. Here she comes. This is exactly the route she walked the other day. David's comedy leopard coming down through the bushes here. Little tail up to show that she's not attacking anything. And there's a water dickop, water thickney, making a noise going chip, chip. He's still hysterical, everyone. I don't know what's wrong with him. I'll have a strong word with him when we go off there. Right, we are going to follow the princess. You're going to go to Ngala and see a lion on a kill.
So just yet another kill. This is the third one that we've been able to find for the day, and all three from lions. This particular zebra, we know for a fact, hasn't been killed by a lion. For those of you who have been watching closely recently, we had the unfortunate sighting of that zebra foal. That's mother had died and it was trying to suckle. And after I left those lions now, I thought, well, let's go see what's happened there, because we've had so many people sending questions and asking us if we know what's happened to the zebra foal, if anything's fed on the zebra. So we thought we should come and investigate. And we have found one of the dominant males of the south of the reserve, one of the Bayala males, who has dragged the zebra carcass into a thicket, assumed to sort of mask its scent and visual from other animals, and particularly vultures, who will pick up on the visual of a zebra in the open and land, and therefore attracting the attention of other predators. So I think he's dragged it here to hide it from the vultures, as well as to mask the scent from other predators. But unfortunately, no signs of the foal, which I suppose in some ways may be good news, because we know that the rest of the pride was with the foal. We know that the foal was with the rest of the herd, and she or he must have continued on and followed the herd and finally left mom, because there is no evidence that that foal has been killed. So I suppose good news, only time will tell. We will keep a lookout for it. We do recognize one or two of the members of that herd, and the rest of the herd, not that I noticed, had a small foal. But this is the circle of life, and it's what we have discussed over the last couple of days. It's extremely sad that the female had to die and that her foal was left stranded and tried to suckle. But I mean, this is a very good example too of the circle of life, is that nothing goes to waste. So this male lion, so we're actually very close to one of the roads here, and both the Bayala males will often travel along this road while marking their territory. And I'm sure that last night this male was out and about, starting his territory patrol, picked up on the scent of this zebra that was rotting away, and decided, or was able to feed on it. So it just shows you the full circle. And now by him feeding on this zebra that has died already, it just means that he won't have to try and catch another zebra or wildebeest or impala later. And once again, just like we saw with the wildebeest this morning, you can see where he started to feed from the rear end, where the softest meat is, where the softest skin is, so easiest to open up, and where the majority or bulk of the meat will consist on the carcass. Because he doesn't know when his brother's going to come over. He doesn't know maybe if the rest of the pride will come over. This carcass having been here for a couple of days, you can actually see it almost looks like some of the meat is rotting away, so it is quite rotten already. And the scent is, there's a very pungent smell here, and any lion or hyena within a kilometer or so, I reckon, if they're downwind, will pick up on the scent. We could actually smell this carcass maybe about 300-400 meters away before we got here. So if we can smell it, lions most certainly can smell it from a much further distance. So I've always been fascinated with is when you look at a zebra carcass like this, just the dramatic color changes. You've got the white and black stripes on the zebra, the plain zebra, which is the one we have here, which has the shadow stripes, and then just that shocking red color up on the back. Just looking for my binoculars. I seem to have misplaced them somewhere. Just wanting to see if there's, looks like there's a bit of a wound on the back leg of that zebra. And I wonder if it's not an old wound where maybe the zebra has survived the attacks of lions in the past. You'll see those 3 or 4 lines, or if it is from recent while this male's busy feeding. Neither, I couldn't agree with you more. It doesn't look like he's really fed on much at all. besides the rear end and just behind or just above the back legs. So it does look a little bit unreal. But yeah,
now, we've been having a very interesting time of it here. I don't know if you remember last time. I don't even remember if we were live when it happened last time, but she followed the same route that she did the last time we followed her. And there was a duiker in exactly the same place, and I think she went back along this route because the duiker escaped last time. She chased it. She went round a termite mound, and now she can see it and we can't. And I'm going to give this 2 minutes before I move the car. Because if I go bashing through there, it's going to ruin the hunt. Just keep an eye through this gap here. If she does kill, we'll hear a thump. And the duiker will make a distress call. Not sure why they do that, because it's not exactly like it helps. She's gone behind the thickest, foulest, most impenetrable Sisyphus bush I've ever seen in my life. Many of you wondering if she might be mating yet. Not as far as we know. She's certainly old enough to be mating, so it wouldn't be unusual if she was. But as far as we know, she hasn't. That's not to say that she hasn't, though. It's not to say that she's not even pregnant. She might be. Her mother was pregnant twice without us knowing about it. I'm going to give this another 20 seconds and then I'm going to move, because otherwise we're going to lose her completely. I think there's only one route, and that's out here, Dov, where she was. But it's so thick in here. We'll try around that way, actually. So when a leopard is stalking like this, if she if she does actually go for it and she kills, the duiker will make a distress call unless she grabs it by the throat straight off, which is unusual. Normally she'll grab it at the back and then come around to the throat. Or you will hear that kind of sound you hear on a rugby field, that monkeys can see it. A rugby field or on a football field of flesh hitting flesh. It's a kind of dull thud, if you like. So the monkeys have spotted her, which means that the duiker will most likely be aware of what's going on. All right, we're going to go back to Jared now and find out what's happening with him. Are they still looking this way?
So it seemed that the male has started to rest a little bit more. As we arrived, he was feeding. And unfortunately, because he was feeding about 5-10 minutes ago, I don't expect that he's going to feed anytime soon. But these animals out here do love to prove me wrong. So I'm hoping to sort of jinx myself. And he decides to come up and eat. But on a cool evening like tonight is a time when you would expect a large male lion like this to roar. Often when it's very cool, the males will roar to state their territory. But unfortunately, because he has a a zebra carcass, he may not want to draw any attention to himself. So unfortunately, I don't think we're going to hear this male lion roaring, because if he roars, they might attract his brother this direction, or the females as well. And you'll often find that males will be quite sneaky when it comes to kills, and they don't want to share it with the rest of the pride. I've seen it myself where a male lion was feeding on a carcass, the rest of the pride walked past, and he actually lay on the carcass, dropped his head down, and watched the entire pride walk by. And the reason why he probably lay on the carcass was just to mask the scent of the carcass itself, so hopefully the lions don't smell it. So just looking at the way he's breathing, looking at the size of his belly, I don't think he's been feeding on this for too long. I think maybe late last night or early this morning he came across this carcass, and looking at the amount of meat that has been eaten and the size of his belly, I think that before this he probably hadn't eaten for a couple of days. So he's done very well, and he's a very lucky boy to walk along a road where a zebra was pretty much only 2-3 meters off the road where it had died. But unfortunately for us, we will never know exactly why this female died. Lots of theories, to maybe a snake bite, to in winter you do sometimes find that animals, we've seen zebra, wildebeest, impala, giraffe die over winter sometimes with the colder weather. That brings about respiratory infections. And the only way we would know is if we took a blood sample, which unfortunately in this case we didn't. So I was looking at that wound earlier. Early on I was saying I couldn't find my binoculars and I wanted to look at that scar down the side of the leg. So it does seem like those are 4 claw marks where maybe a couple of years ago this female managed to escape the claws of lions. Right, well, I'm going to stick around. I'm very keen to see if this male gets up. I'm hoping he gets up to feed. And while we wait, we're going to head over to Twalu, who I believe has some jackals.
So we've just got a little black-backed jackal here, and I'm absolutely, completely distraught. This is like second prize. He happened to be in the area, and I'm just going to have to admit it straight out. Whatever was there, we actually missed it. It popped out so quickly and moved off. So, yeah, I'm quite bleak as I'm sitting here. Yes, I'm still not going to tell you what it is, because that'll like really give the game away. But all I can say is I'm not a happy camper as I'm sitting here now. Anyway, yeah, yes, I'm not happy. But we'll make it up to you, and we are going to go back there now. We kind of just like moved out of the area to kind of like get our breaths now, and then we're going to go back and see what we can find. This is the way it works, eh? Some you win, some you lose. Let's try to be philosophical about it. And it's still very tempting to say what it was, but we're not going to. So that's a little black-backed jackal down there. That's the one that was trotting away over there. He's just moving slowly. Kind of like his day is just starting now. Everyone else's day is going, and he has just gone behind that bush. And there he comes out. Yeah, so like I say, some people's days are ending, and then his day is just starting. Like a lot of your diurnal animals will be kind of starting to get ready to bed down now. And this little chap is just getting going. This is a very, very, very good area for things like aardvark, just out of interest. And there's one more clue as to what that animal is not that we're looking for. But yeah, I think we're going to turn and we're actually going to head back there and see if we can get an opportunity of seeing it again. I'm going to have to really make this up to you somehow. I don't know how. Maybe I'll draw a picture of it and see if you can guess. Yeah, I believe some of you have got it right as to what it might be. Well, let's see. Let's see if you are right. It could be something like a snake weasel, but but maybe not. All right. I think I'm just going to move. We'll turn around here and then head back that way. Yes, I'm just going to continue, turn around, head back that way, and see what I can find. The ultimate stakeout.
I've had some luck in the form of buffalo. There's a lot of buffalo around the property right now. We've actually bumped into quite a few dagger boys, the old boys, the muddy boys, and they've been on their own. Now, so far, I think there's just a few individuals scattered here. Dagger boys are the ones that give buffaloes a really bad reputation. They're the ones that are said to be really ill-tempered, a little bit angry at life, shall we say. They're injured. Oh, I can see more. Yeah, they're all, I think this could be a bigger herd than I actually realise. And they're sore, they've got wounds, they ache, they've possibly got joint pain. They're just grumpy old men, really, to be honest. And they are the ones that you do not want to get on the wrong side of. Generally, females are not so ill-tempered. They will get angry if they feel their young is in danger, but other than that, it's really the dagger boys, the very, very old bulls that have completely passed their reproductive peak. They're no longer focusing on the ladies. They're done with the ladies. And yes, they're not the happiest of chappies, shall we say. Daga's a Zulu word, and it basically just means mud, because forms are caked in mud. They wallow a lot. They spend most of their time wallowing to try and soothe their skin and sort of nourish, enrich that they may have. This buffalo's just chillaxing. Grumpy old man, you're saying you resonate with this guy. Oh, I haven't heard your name in a while. The human dagger boy. I love it, grumpy old man. Hold on 2 seconds, James is calling me. He might need a bit of help. Standing by, James.
Where are you now?
I'm on Cheetah Cut Line.
Okay, copy. We've had the same problem which we had yesterday.
Bear with me, everyone.
They're still around, so we're immobile. If you are interested, she's between Mbubu and the lodge.
Copy. I'll head there now. Do you need any help?
Panji's helping us, thanks. Yeah, she's in this block somewhere. We just heard her fall.
Copy. Okay, everyone. Goodbye, Buffalo. Grumpy old man. Grumpy old man, I don't think you're really grumpy at all. You have the best dad jokes. But I don't think you're grumpy. I hope my car is okay as well. Stay true, Wendy. We are going to fly and try and see if we can catch up with Miss Tlalamba.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
So one of the keys to survival in nature is to have 360-degree awareness. This means knowing what is around you at all times. And when looking in one direction, it is always important to know what is behind you. And we've been so focused on this lion and this zebra that we haven't really been looking at what is behind us. And have a look at that. First of all, it is an absolutely stunning view. But that you can see is a lot of rain that is heading this way. So that is south of us at the moment, and we've been watching for the last 2 minutes or so, and it does look like it's starting to come this way. So let's hope it swings around us. I do often find that Phinda tends to be a bit of a donut, that the rain will form all around us and it will be dry as a bone on Phinda. So I hope that is the case, but what a beautiful view with the blue skies and then light clouds, but then rain falling between the valleys that are south of our reserve. So that area that you can see at the moment, where those hills are, that is where the southernmost boundary of Phinda occurs. So that rain so far is outside. But that being said, we are here to see this beautiful male lion and his zebra that he happened upon, and he hasn't even budged an inch. I was hoping you'd get up and start to feed for us, but there's no need, particularly in a case like this where there's no competition or direct competition at the moment, where his brother or the rest of the pride aren't around. He's not going to be in as much of a rush to feed, and you can almost tell that by the amount that he's fed on already. I reckon if his brother was here, you'll probably see him lying closer towards the carcass. Sometimes you even see them resting with their head on the carcass as a way of saying, this is mine, back off. And you'd have probably seen him feeding for a little bit longer than what we saw him feeding earlier. But that being said, maybe that means he'll get up and feed soon, because he didn't have a very long feed when we first found him. Craig, he has a fairly good feast. I'm still not convinced he is 100% full. You'll often find when they lie down how they are now, that if they have really filled their bellies, the bulge will be quite a lot more noticeable than what it is now. But I don't think he's complaining, and the fact that he is resting at the moment would tell you that he's pretty content with the amount that he has fed on. All right, well, we're going to maybe do a rain dance in the vehicle, but a go-away rain dance in the vehicle, and sit and wait to see if this lion's going to feed. But let's head over to Mike, who has a very interesting carnivore for you.
So we have found an awesome little creature called a slender mongoose. I have to talk very quietly because they're very, very shy animals. Earlier on, we showed you some dwarf mongoose, which live in a group, and a slender mongoose is a solitary mongoose. They have a very similar lifestyle in that they also live in termite mounds, as you can see, sitting on a termite mound right now, but they are alone, sometimes in pairs, but never in family groups. And this one, I think, is just trying to warm up in the last of the dying sun rays before going to sleep in its burrow, because they are diurnal, meaning that they're active during the day, not at night. But this one, as you can see, also has tiny little ears and a very, very long, slender snout, showing you that they live and they live underground, and when they hunt, they go through the logs and through the grass, and they search high and low for little critters like mice and snakes. Oh, he's looking inside his burrow. Maybe this one's going to disappear very soon. Oh, a little shakeout. See, look at that long tail with a black tip. That is how we identify the slender mongoose. The dwarf mongoose was very, very dark in colour. Oh, he's definitely listening to me. He's got very good hearing. We're actually very far away from it. But they're very, very alert. Remember, because it's on its own, it needs to be very, very careful and alert. It can't afford to let its guard down. Oh, see, every little rustle seems to get it alert again. Back and forth. Look at that long nose. Amazing. Full of sharp, sharp teeth for crunching little bugs. Oh, it's given us the beady stare. It's okay, little buddy. We're not going to come any closer. It is, Jenna, it is very cute. I think they are very similar to, if anyone's from Europe watching, to things like weasels and stoats. This one is quite large, almost as long as my forearm, not small like my fist, but very, very cute and fluffy. I'm sure the fur is very, very soft. Teddy, that's a great question. Teddy wonders if they're related to the mongoose from Hawaii. Well, Teddy, the scientific community is very well organized. And so I believe that if they call them mongoose in Hawaii, they're probably very similar to the mongoose here. But I don't know what the mongoose from Hawaii look like. Actually, that's one of the things I'm going to look up immediately when I get back from this drive. I didn't know there were mongoose in Hawaii. That's amazing. Small islands often have very unique little critters. This one's just having a bath. It's always the last thing that you should do before bed. A bath or a shower to clean up. A mongoose with a Hawaiian skirt. That would actually be really funny to look at. I'm thinking Timon. Timon could pull it off. In fact, Timon does wear a Hawaiian skirt in the Lion King when he sings the song about Pumbaa and becoming a meal for the hyenas. No, I can't get that out of my head. This mongoose looks very serious, though. I don't think this particular mongoose, the slender mongoose, would be wearing what's it called? What do you call those Hawaiian skirts? I'm not sure. Very cool. I think this mongoose wants to go inside. It's looking at the sun as if to say, is this all you got? Oh. Of course, when I say he's going to go down into the burrow, it's going to run off and do something completely different. That's what animals do. I think they make it their life's goal to make me look silly. What are you up to, little buddy? What are you going to do? Does not like me. Well, so this little mongoose is going to make up its mind. Let's send you off to Rowan with a giraffe.
Right, so we were on our way to the young male, back towards the young male lion, and this giraffe is pretty much blocking our road, blocking our path completely. Big male. What's even funnier is he's missing not the tip of his tail, but from about halfway down, it's actually showing off for us there, halfway down to nearly the end, there's no skin left, there's no hair there. There he goes. Maybe bitten off by a hyena, maybe lion, maybe it got stuck in someone's teeth. So I think he escaped quite narrowly, that he's still got the tip of his tail left. You can see, even with that, less hair than usually would be. So, very tall animal already, and now he's even standing on top of a hill, trying to get to this tree, feeding. But yeah, quite a nice little roadblock to come around, to run into. He keeps feeding and then looking at us while he chews his food. I like watching them chew. Such an elegant animal. Basically anything they do, it's like they do it in slow motion. MGN says he calls these guys skyscrapers or cloud bumpers. It's very adequate naming. See, every time he picks off a bit of leaf and then he looks our way and he chews. Oh. I wish he was feeding on the outside and you can actually see the way he's sticking his tongue out to try to get to more leaves. Still see very, very... Oh no, he's not looking our way. But his ears are picking up every single sound. Of course, being that tall, I don't think too much can sneak up on you. Clean his nostril with his tongue quick. And then back to feeding. Actually, there you could see the tongue stretch out that much. Looks very at ease though. The eyes aren't wide open. You can see every single time he puts his head up and he actually tries to dig or get some leaves, he'll close his eyes just a little bit. Of course, they've got super long eyelashes to protect their eyes from that. I know it's basically the envy of every woman. Giraffe's eyelashes. He's doing quite well with that tongue. Can actually hear him chewing because he's getting quite a few. Oh, see, he didn't even have to reach out for that one. Pravna's asking, are the patterns on a giraffe different for every single giraffe? Yes, it is. It's quite nice. it's basically like a fingerprint. Same thing with a leopard. Their spots are always different. So exactly for a giraffe, the pattern would be different on every single one of it. See, OD actually nicely lining it out for you guys. But so this one has more like spots, but you'll often find giraffe here as well with, it looks like almost leaves spray painted on. Quite pretty. It's nice to actually sit with a giraffe for this amount of time, especially a relaxed big male like this one. Male, of course, you can see easiest way to tell now is the bald on top of the ossicones or the horns. Of course, they lose their hair there from fighting with other males. I just love to know what happened to its tail. Stretching its head up or its neck out. Try to get to the top leaves. There we go. That was a good piece of leaf. Yummy. Still stretching into the top branches. Of course, they want to eat mostly the outside bit of the leaves and also the top of the leaves, because these are more in the sun. So they produce more, well, they photosynthesize more. So they'll be quite a bit sweeter. This one is really hungry. Very, very, very hungry. So every now and then when they stop feeding, they'll actually move away from a tree and then they chew, swallow their food, and you can follow it down their neck and then they'll regurgitate it back up. And you can usually follow the bump going up the neck as it's coming back to the mouth, and they chew it again. It's called, well, remasticating. So re-chewing their food. And of course, this is how they get all of the nutrients from it. There we go, he agrees. I don't know if you guys can hear him chewing, but I can actually hear him chewing from where I'm sitting. It's quite funny. Shan asking, will they eat any tree? So they'll usually go for trees that have smaller leaves and less tannin. So tannin is the drying agent in leaves, and of course eating that is going to dry up their mouth and just not taste as sweet. So they'll usually go for thorn trees or trees with smaller leaves. But I think if it really comes to very, very dry, see now it looks like he heard something in a different, well, no, he's relaxing. So if it comes to very tough times, very, very dry seasons, they'll start eating larger leaf trees. But they'll try avoid trees that has too much tannin in it. He's loving this one though. That tongue is comical. Righty. Okay, so I think we'll let him be. We'll actually try past this giraffe now and continue making our way to the young male lion. For now, we're going to send you back over to Jared. Hopefully he works this time, not frozen.
Apologies about earlier, everyone. It seems we had some technical issues for no apparent reason at all. So I'm not sure exactly what you caught, but what I was mentioning earlier is that the reason why I've come to this side of the male lion is to see his face. And to see his face, to have a look at the beauty that he beholds. And the reason why I say that is that a lot of people will debate and discuss, and I'd be interested to hear from all of you what you think makes a lion beautiful. Some people say it is how big they are. Some people say how dark or light their mane is, how big their mane is. When I look at a lion, one of the very first things I tend to look at is the amount of scars. that a male lion may have. Now, although that might sound slightly sadistic, I just think that, every single one of those scars tells a story, and generally a male lion in his prime with lots of scars will tell you that he has been doing just what male lions like to do: be dominant, fight for his territory, fight for his kills. And so what I often find is beautiful in a lion is the amount of scars that he has. And when you look at this particular male, you'll see the coloring around his eye is quite strange, and it's almost like it's a big bruise. And this occurred a couple of days ago, and then you'll see right in front of his eye he's also got a fresh wound. And so the only thing I think could really have... So Gemma, you say their eyes. It's always amazing how some lions have completely different color eyes. And if you watched this morning, Gemma, you may have seen how the sun, one of the lion cubs, was busy feeding in a thicket, and the sunbeam came through one of the branches and hit that eye, and it was so beautiful how that eye was just sticking out. But like I was saying with this male, I think he's got a wound from what I can only imagine being his brother. Daniel, you say your favorite thing about a lion is its sense of self. It's a very interesting one. It's one of the first times I've heard anyone say that. I'll have to ponder upon that for a while. But I think that's a good reason, actually. There are so many wonderful reasons. Some people like this kind of mane where you've got this orange mane transforming into a dark black mane. Other people like a lion with just a complete black mane, very frizzy black mane. The manes of lions have always fascinated me as well. I've seen a coalition of 5 male lions. Patty, I believe you agree with me with the amount of scars. I'm glad you think so. It's like I was saying, one of the other things that fascinates me about lions is the different textures and colors of the manes. I've seen males from the same pride, same coalition, all 5 males. You can actually identify each and every one of them by their mane, by the color of their mane, by the size of their mane. Sometimes you have a male that has a very puffy mane. Other males, you have manes that look like someone's taken a hair straightener to and it just almost falls straight down. Other males look like they've been sitting on the back of a motorbike. They are definitely one of the most majestic looking animals in the African wilderness. Male lions with their big manes. Oh, my... Minamu, you say the roar. Unfortunately, this lion I don't think is going to roar today, but I couldn't agree with you more. Particularly when a lion is this distance from you. When it does start to roar, it is one of the most unreal experiences you can ever have. I get goosebumps every single time I have a lion or a pride of lions roaring around my vehicle. So earlier on we were speaking about 360-degree awareness and the rain that was coming, and I've just felt a few raindrops, which is not ideal, and the wind's picking up and the temperature has dropped probably 3 or 4 degrees, which is not ideal. That normally means that the storm is coming. Oh no, indeed. But we'll try to see if we can ride it out. Fortunately, the lodge is in the opposite direction of this, where the rain's coming from. But if it does start to feel like it's going to rain, I'm going to get onto this road very quickly and get home as quick as I can. But I think let's head over to a slightly lighter area, and we're going to go over to Twalu, who has some blue skies for you.
So unfortunately, still no luck. But we're going to just bite the bullet. We are here now. We might as well just stick it out. I'm still really disappointed that I messed that up. But yes. Anyway. We'll just, like I say, just stick it out now and see what happens. Are there any guesses as to what it is yet? No guesses? Going, gone. Alright, don't speak to me. It's fine. I'll suffer in silence. We back. Yeah, so we're still just waiting. Nothing going on yet, but we're not giving up hope. It's still early days. It's only 5 o'clock here in South Africa. Ellen says brown hyena. No, not brown hyena, not brown hyena. Says a caracal, and you are wrong. You are all, on porcupine, you are all incorrect. Caitlin, Caitlin and Roshni say Art Wolf, you two are correct. Well done, well done. We are waiting for an Art Wolf. So, and that's why I'm so bleak that we did see it, but it just moved off before we could actually get the camera and that onto it. It was entirely my bad. I wasn't concentrating. That's also, I owe you one, big time, and I will make it up to you. I don't know how yet, but I will come up with a plan. I will think of something. But we're still waiting here. There's a very good chance. I mean, these animals are, they'll just mill around the area. They weren't spooked or anything. But it's as a guide, certainly from my perspective, it's just intensely frustrating when you miss something like that, because it's like schoolboy errors on guiding. So I will keep on doing vigil, and hopefully we get something further now.
Good luck, Dylan. That is very good timing. So, we have caught up with the Birmingham young male. Eyes are open while he's staring at us. Because he's looking good. Beautiful face. So, good timing. We've been expecting him to wake up almost around this time, because it's gotten a lot colder, and very quickly. Oh, no, I'm just hoping he'll start contact calling. That low, moan soon, to try to find the Birmingham pride again. Very majestic animal, isn't it? Okay, maybe not time to contact call just yet. But he has not moved at all for an entire day. Of course, why do you need to? If you're the apex predator out here, not really too much that's going to disturb you. So if you find a comfortable spot, might as well just keep it. The eyes are opening and he's still looking to the left. It's funny, driving in here, lots of impala, a few bushbuck, one inyala. The hyena was also up, was sniffing around. So the timing was good. All animals that we saw sleeping this morning is slowly but surely waking up. So a nice time of day to just, sit and listen. The majority of the birds are starting to chirp their last calls. And I'm hoping that he'll start chirping soon. I think he desperately wants to find the pride again. We were discussing it a little bit earlier that his leg is never going to heal. It is what it is now. He'll be limping for the rest of his life, but it's almost like his shoulders has grown, which would make sense. I mean, him walking around like that, he puts a lot of weight on the front legs,
I think he's just getting stronger and stronger and stronger each day. But he looks to be in good shape. It does look like he ate maybe a couple of days ago, ate something. He'll still be able to scavenge food a lot easier. And I think he might struggle to hunt something impala, something like impala, something very quick. But, you know, if he builds up the confidence and he tries to take buffalo down, I think he should be able to do that. You're pretty light on him now as well. Even he looks cold. Long whiskers above his eyes. We were hoping that, you know, we could get here and capture him and the sunset. But then, of course, you've got the northern bank of the Timbavati, so it rises again on that side. But I think give it a bit more time. Maybe the clouds will get a bit more of a dramatic pinkish color a little bit later on. Okay, so we are going to sit here probably for the rest of the afternoon, see what he gets up to, see if he wakes up. It sounds like Mike's also got himself a beautiful sunset, so we're going to send you back over to him.
Well, we do have already quite a dramatic, beautiful scene. We've got the still glassy water of Leopard Dam with the pink, rosy clouds and a beautiful silhouette. Just sitting here and enjoying the peaceful bush sounds, or the sounds of the birds, relaxing for the evening. And a few animals. You can just see the birds landing in the tree up ahead of us in the distance. And they are also catching the last of these afternoon rays before they sleep. See the reflection is absolutely gorgeous. It's gorgeous. It's like a mirror. Beautiful golds and blues. Really, really comfortable. You know, there's not an evening I think I've ever had on safari when I haven't had the same sense of absolute peace when the evening starts to fall and a sort of a hush falls over the bush. It just makes me feel so calm. Must be quite a frightening time for some of the prey animals, though, like impalas, who know that the predators might start stalking. You can hear woodpeckers pecking in the distance. Lots of different birds making all sorts of little noises. Absolute, isn't it just beautiful? I know there's a lion around here somewhere. We've been trying to find him the whole afternoon, and we were just hoping that if we sat here quietly, he might come down and drink before moving on for the night. I think it's that lion that some of you might have seen with Taylor. I'm not sure if you saw it, which had a bit of a limp. There's one single young male lion. Look at all the birds. Those are lots and lots of red-billed buffalo weavers landing in the tree there. They've got a nest just to the left, which they're all going to be sleeping in very shortly. You can hear lots of blue waxbills twittering next to us as well. And there they go. So, you has asked a question whether there are lots of wild animals that like to shout a lot. Now, certainly baboons like to shout all the time. If they are threatened or finding that they are having an argument, often at this time of day, in fact, at this very waterhole yesterday, we saw a whole troop of baboons coming down to drink and then rest in the tall trees. And often they have little family disputes and start shouting and screaming at each other. The youngsters, I mean, they're just like us. Honestly, I used to fight with my brother all the time before bed. And so they just fight, and they, mothers and dads chasing each other around and trying to calm the children. So definitely baboons like to make a lot of noise. We heard the elephants earlier also trumpeting quite a lot. So yeah, animals, I think, make noise when they need to, or when they feel threatened by something, or if they're having a fight. But I don't think anything likes to disturb the peace just out of habit. Wow, look at that. The clouds are actually amazing. You know, it's winter We don't often get such beautiful clouds in winter. Usually it's very, very sunny and just plain blue sky, so we're incredibly fortunate to see this kind of a scene. No sign of that lion yet, but I'm sure he'll come down at some point. Whilst we enjoy this beautiful bushveld sunset, let's send you over to ROAN.
Yep, he still has not moved. He's not lifted his head up. You know, maybe he's waiting for any sort of sound before he starts calling. But for now, it's still looking very comfortable. So earlier today, at about lunchtime, 1 o'clock or so, we had bushbuck alarm calling just out of tented camp. And my initial thought was that they probably saw him and maybe he moved into shade. But then when we came to check, he literally did not move. So if you remember from yesterday, my Makoti male was in a tree right behind us. So we thought that maybe this male is back in the area. So it's also nice for us just to sit here and actually listen to the surroundings. You know, if there's a lot of impala, there's a lot of bushbuck and things all around us. So if we start hearing them alarm calling, then we know there could be something else. And it'd also be interesting to see how he reacts to it. Definitely I think he scavenges a lot now, I can imagine. So I think that might have a carcass, he'll go in and try to steal it. For now, he looks fast asleep, although you can see the ears, both ears still pricked up. So very aware of all the sounds around him. Also just taking in all the bird noises. Or the dusk chorus. Herman wants to know if lions actually have any other predators besides each other. So Herman, the cubs would. Adult lions, not really. Although, I mean, hyenas would be a very big enemy, especially things like East Africa. I mean, where you have the very huge clans of hyenas. That could be a danger. Even this guy, I mean, if he was in a carcass and surrounded by, 10 to 15 hyenas, it's very dangerous for him as well. But then the lion cubs, basically everything. Leopard, hyena, lions, even big predatory birds, depending on their age, could be a danger to them. Saw a very interesting photo the other day. Well, not interesting, rather sad really, of a lion cub hanging in a tree and a bateleur feeding on it. So yeah, it's really just a danger being small in this area. But I mean, as he is here, really his size even, at his age, not really too much other than other lions or hyenas, but a big clan. Male lions are known to be very, very, very aggressive. Lots of testosterone. So you'll need a lot of hyenas to scare him. See, the light is getting beautiful now. I like this time of day. Yep. Be a perfect time to pour a gin and tonic and take in the sunset.
Wild Earth relies on support from viewers like you to carry on broadcasting our daily live shows. A small donation goes a long way in helping us on our mission to connect the world with nature. Please visit our support page to see how you can help and become part of the Wild Earth family.
Well, everyone, I raced around for Tlalamba, as you probably heard on the Game Drive radio. James is out of action. I think he's broke his car. It's easy to break cars, I'm not judging him. I've done it many a time. In fact, Wendy had a huge hole in the door for a while, but she's all patched up now. So James is out of action, I'm afraid, and I think we were just too late for Tlalamba. We have our tracks, we can see exactly where she's gone, but she's dipped off into a really thick block, and without any further knowledge. It's not going to be possible to follow through a block. We stopped, we listened for a while. That's the key. Sometimes just turn your engine off and just listen. Be surprised at what you hear. We're so used to hearing the rattle. I'm sorry everyone, a track just took my attention here. The rattle of the engine. And sometimes you actually, well, I would imagine we miss a lot. I thought for a moment that was a dog track, but I think it's just a hyena track. I'm doing a bit of a scour of the west to see if we can pick up on any signs of hukumuri. The leopard dynamics I've already mentioned have changed so much at Djuma. And since Hukumuri's altercation over a lady with Mowati, he's really not been visiting frequently. I think BK and Steve had him once and he was injured. Now he's fine, he's been sighted, he's absolutely fine, he's not limping, no injuries, but he's not been back into Djuma. Now what does that tell you? I think it speaks volumes. Mowati is definitely the dominant male. That's why we're not seeing Tingana. A few of you have asked, is Tingana nomadic now? I really can't answer because I've not seen him. I don't think he's fully nomadic yet, but he could be going that way. He's been reported to still be calling and scent marking and acting territorial in Buffelshoek. So I think he's just shifted his territory slightly, and it's all because of Mowati. Which is rather unfortunate because Mowati is not an easy leopard to spend time with. He's not habituated. Daniel, that's an impossible question to really answer. I mean, it depends on the size of your territory, what age you are you male, are you female? I mean, Hukumuri's territory, as we know it might have changed, is huge. It's way bigger than Tungana's. It comes into Djuma, but it extends really, really far west and then goes very far south. Now, territories are dynamic. They will always change. Sometimes if a leopard's a little bit weak, it'll shrink, and then maybe as they get strong again, it'll expand. It depends on resources, as in their food source, their prey and water, and it also depends on competition. Who's their rivals? Who's their neighbours? So it's a very fluid thing, a territory, but I would say they have to scent mark regularly. I mean, for Hukumuri, we should be seeing him twice a week, once a week at the least, especially after rains. The rains will wash the scents away. The urine will be washed away, feces will be diluted, the sort of sebum from the sebaceous glands and the cheeks will also be washed away. So therefore, after the rain, you'll find most leopards and lions will start scent marking heavily because they're aware that they need to redo their scent. So the fact that I have not seen one track for Hukumuri. I've been travelling the west every day and not one single track. That's telling me that his altercation with Mowati over Shadulu has really affected him. And I only hope that he's not giving up this section of his territory. It's a very small portion. It's the western side of Djuma, but it's the eastern side of his territory. And I really hope he's not giving it up. So I'm just going to check. You got to put the work in and see if we can find any more tracks of our elusive leopards.
It's funny. I think everyone's looking for a last-minute leopard. We were just saying that, you know, how fun would it be if Makoti Mao just popped up here somewhere. Of course, I think he'll be very aware of where this male lion is because he would have seen him yesterday, being in the tree right behind us. But yeah, he lifted his head, scratched his mane, and then boom, back to bed. He's been very, very, very sleepy. And it's interesting how no of the male leopards, but we pretty much have the same thing here at Ngala. That we were saying the other day with the Ross males, they initially came from the west, from the Ross Pride, and then they took over territory here,
from 4 other males. And then, of course, where they are now, they crossed east, which is the territory of either the Orphan males or the Hercules males. So it's also just interesting to see how much further east they're going. So now we don't know what's happening in the west. Maybe there's new males coming in from the west and pushing them further east, especially with the new cubs. You know, the females would then move further east, trying to protect the cubs from new males or new competition coming in. This guy, in all honesty, we don't know what's going to happen. You know, he could find a friend, he could form a coalition, or he could just stay nomadic for the rest of his life. His older brother, who's now known as the Red Road male in Manyeleti, he's taken over the territory by himself. So he never joined a coalition. He never formed a coalition with any other males. I was saying earlier that, I was thinking about it earlier, his brother used to hunt buffalo by himself at the age of 3 and a half. He would jump on a buffalo's back and try to take it down. Of course, this was in 2016 when we had that big drought going on, so all the buffaloes were quite weak. But I think if he wanted to, this male, you know, he's enormous compared to the Ross males. I think he could be able to maybe bring down a buffalo by himself. Remains to be seen. I mean, we're going to watch his movements, just check what happens. Kay Williamson wants to know when his last interaction was with the Pride. Kay, I think it's about a week ago. I might be mistaken. We don't really watch each other's game drives, to be honest. But I don't think we've seen him with the Pride since Barney's one game drive, which was about, I think, a week ago. Maybe just over a week, under a week and a half. That sort of area, not too long ago. Of course, he would have eaten after that, judging by, well, how we see him looking today. Doesn't look like he has not eaten in about 10 days. He's definitely eaten since then. Sure, you'll find them again. You know, he bounces back literally every single time. Every single time we find him with the Pride, everyone's happy again. Then we find him alone, everyone's sad for him. It's a roller coaster of emotions when it comes to the Birmingham young male. It's funny, where we're sitting now is like a flock of Aramark babblers. And just keeps babbling every now and then and trying to talk over them. I'm waiting for this guy to wake up now. All the birds are making so much noise. It's definitely cold enough. I'm now wearing 3 layers. Odie's put his scarf and beanie on. So it's definitely cool enough for him to start waking up and give us a bit of audio. Anytime now. Well, maybe soon. We'll see. You know, it's still early. We just need other sounds of the bush. Maybe the Ross males pipe up and start roaring, and then he'll contact back, hopefully. We'll see. We'll sit here for another long while.
So we are still on our stakeout at the hole. No activity, a lot of bird activity. The ant-eating chats are up and down. So I think I'm inclined to actually that we just move on, and we'll come back here on a different day when there's a bit more of a breeze. We'll set it up nicely where it's not so just kind of a bit of a flyer of a chance. Then we'll do a proper stakeout here. Maybe off the vehicle, park the vehicle far away and walk in. I think that's probably going to work best. But I think for now, yeah, let's just... so that there where Jean is pointing, that little scraggly green bush, and that burrow is actually just in front of that. You can't even see it from this angle. And we're sitting about 100 yards, 100 meters away from that burrow. So we're not even close at all. And the wind is still cutting across us from right to left. So all's good. Mike has asked, why is it so dry here in the winters in South Africa? So it's a good question from a climate perspective. So you've got a very, very big high-pressure cell that develops over the interior of South Africa, not so much the eastern sides, and but mostly over the interior high-pressure cell, which has got very, very, very little moisture in the air. And so our rainfall season here is in the summer months, but in the winter it gets incredibly, incredibly dry. But we also get different areas of South Africa with different times of rain. So the area around Cape Town and a bit up the west coast, that actually gets a winter rainfall. Winter only rains in winter. Where we are, and we are colleagues down working at Phinda, Ngala, Djuma, those areas, that's a summer rainfall. And then right along the southern coast of South Africa, you get what we call a bimodal rainfall. So you've actually got two peaks during the year of rainfall, which is quite unusual. But yeah, where we are, it gets incredibly dry in winter. There's an awful. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. I couldn't. I couldn't resist. I'm just going to carry on with Gendre into the, well, not with him, but kind of together into, kind of amble off into the sunset here and just see what is over the next horizon.
That is such a bad joke. Dylan, well done. Ah, there we go. The head is up. Funny. And the head is going back down. He's like snuggled into his back leg there. Looks rather warm. Where he is. Snuggly, comfy. I think also the reason why he's so comfortable and he's not moving a lot, because winter time there's not a lot of flies, and being so cold today there's actually 0 flies around him, and you haven't really seen the ear twitching. There's been no movement of the tail. There's actually just nothing bothering him. Not even the paws are moving at all. The mayor of space wants to know if lions ever form coalition with random males, or is it always their brothers? So no, it's happened where lions form coalitions with random males. It depends on the area. So, you know, if there's a single nomadic male that goes into an area where all the coalitions around him are either 3 or 4 lions, what they're going to try to do is form a coalition with another nomadic male, or even 2. Definitely happens. It's also happened where random males, there's really no movement at all, where random males join up with already existing coalitions. So it's happened where a single male joins up with 2 brothers. You know, so it's very, very possible that this guy even would find a coalition, you know, later in life, if need be. Or, like I said earlier, there's a lot of times where lions just live their lives being nomads, just nomadically traveling through areas. Yeah, we actually have no idea what's going to happen. It'd be quite fun if, you know, he stuck around for long enough to actually join the white male and his 2 brothers in a coalition. Of course, that's going to still be about 1.5 years. I think by that time, well, it remains to be seen. Don't even know if the rice males will be around for that long. So again, all just theories. You never know what's going to happen out here in the wild. It's quite nice. I'm just thinking we're going to hear this guy calling out of tented camp for the whole night. Okay, so seems like Lauren has also found a lion, so we're going to send you to her.
I cannot believe it. BK and I just found 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 white-back vultures in a tree. Came in to investigate, and look what we have in front of us. I don't know who it is. It's a lion, obviously. But I don't know which lioness this is. I can't believe it. You always expect the unexpected out here. We saw the vultures. That's too many vultures to be nothing. Now, vultures are really, really heavy birds, so at nighttime they do rest in trees. But this volume of vultures, 1, 2, 3, there was 5, or there were 5. I can't believe it. I really can't believe it. Now, I'm going to have to go round so we can get a look at the lioness's face. Now, whiteback vultures are the most common. They're the most common vultures that you will see, the most numerous. I'm just going to turn my lights off. She appears to be alone. Who are you, girl? She keeps looking up at the vultures. Huh? Sorry, I'm just having a good look at her. I'm being really careful in case there's other lions. And if there's vultures here, there's a kill. Something's been killed. Something is definitely dead. I can't smell anything. Oh, look at all those vultures over there. The pride could be here. Hello, gorgeous. I'm wondering if this is the missing Nkahuma lioness. Now, I am just going to get out my spotlight so I can check the area. I don't feel we've fully unraveled this mystery yet. I can't believe that turn of events. I'm just scanning around for eye shine. Now, I don't know if this is a missing Nkahuma lioness, but Steve had Tandy up a tree about 2 weeks ago, and I was actually in camp, and I decided to go on a little bumble and visit Tandy because I missed her. And when we got there, the missing Nkahuma lioness jumped up the tree, chased Tandy, number 1, jumped up the tree and stole Tandy's kill. I don't know if this is her. If any of you have any idea for this lioness, do let me know. Something is dead in this area. There's a carcass. I wonder what it is. I have a really good sense of smell. Normally I can navigate. I can find a carcass solely by using my sense of smell. Okay, so we're going to go into IR now, infrared. So the beautiful lioness is Tony, and she's now going to go black and white. Ta-da! And for those of you that are maybe new with us, we don't use any artificial light on animals. We don't shine our spotlight on them, we don't shine camera lights on them, and we don't shine any lights from the cars on them. We do spotlight, but it's only to pick up the eye shine. Most sort of animals out here, at least your nocturnal species, have a special layer in their retina called the tapetum lucidum. And this helps reflect light back to the retina twice, and it just gives them an advantage to allow more light to come into the eye for them to be able to see at nighttime. And it's something that humans do not have. So when we spotlight, we're just looking to pick up a glimpse of eye shine. And once we get that eye shine, we immediately stop spotlighting, and we use an incredible tool called infrared, which is a huge block of technology that sits on the camera. And it means that we can view the animal this way. Michael Fleetwood, thank you so much. You're saying it's the nick-eared Nkahuma lioness. It is an Nkahuma. I got an update earlier that the Nkahumas are south. So they are on a place called Shirley's. So I wonder if this lioness is on her own. Oh, what an end. I'm going to look around here for a potential carcass, and we're going to send you guys across to some large-eared foxes at Swallow.
We finally found something with some life here. There's bat-eared foxes. And what is really nice is that this one's actually actively digging. So he's hunting, and he's got something there. I can't see what it is from this distance, but let's see what he pulls out. Hey, like, listen to me. What was that? Sorry. that bird that flew past there, that's an ant-eating chat. And remember, they're the ones that have been following the pangolins, following the aardvark for anything that might get away from whatever they're eating, whatever they're digging for. I'm quite curious to see if he actually pulls something out, but he's definitely onto something. We're not going to zoom to now, we're going to keep on here, but there's another 3 or 4 bat-eared foxes just off to the left-hand side of that little track. And massive ears. Look at the size of those ears. Hence the name. Bat-eared fox. Come on, what do you got? But look how he listens. Look. Monique in London has said how cool this is. And totally right, totally right. But look at that. So you see how he walks, ears to the ground, eh? Just listening, listening, listening. These little guys do not... And there we go. Listen, dig. Listen, dig. Yes, that's nice to watch, eh? That is really cool to watch. And we are sitting 150 yards away from these animals because that gives you a really nice... Wowzers! Gives you a nice idea of just how far away we are. I just really wanted us to observe them without moving off. And look at that, they've obviously got a really good foraging spot there. Anushka, we talk about them having cubs, bat-eared fox, pups, bat-eared fox pups. And then Aardwolf have got cubs. It's quite like weird how they mix all these things up. Eh? But it's also, if you look at antelope, if you talk about rams or bulls, you know, something with the size of a nyala is a bull. Anything smaller than that is a ram. But there's actually no clear distinction. You know, it's the male of the species. Or should I say, the female of the species is more deadly than the male. Okay, who knows what that comes from? There's a question for everyone. The female of the species is more deadly than the male. It's true. Look at that light on them. Man. That is a photographer's dream. That golden light. So these little family groups are very loyal to their areas, and you know, if you had to come back to the same area day after day after day, you're going to get the same little group of bat-eared foxes sitting around here. And I think they've got very, very good foraging. When you see them, they're not moving a lot. You know, they're sitting in one area there, which means that they've obviously getting a lot of insects at that particular point. I think I'm just going to sit here longer and see if they pull up anything interesting for us.
No luck with locating, well, anything dead. But there's definitely something here. Otherwise, the vultures would really not be here. Vultures have such keen eyesight. They can see for miles. And I imagine they've been following this lioness. Now, she is part of the Nkuhuma pride, our sort of main dominant pride over Djuma, that borders with the Talamati pride up north. That's the two main lion prides that we do see in this area. Sometimes we see the Torchwood pride, sometimes we see the Styx prides, but really our most dominant pride is the Nkuhumas. And it is quite normal for lionesses to separate themselves. It's not uncommon. Sometimes they'll just go off on their own and they'll reunite with the pride whenever they wish, normally through contact calling. So they'll start to vocalize. And I do think the rest of the pride is down south. Lionesses like to be together generally Michael, you're asking what's more important for a lion, sound or sight? Definitely sound. Sound and smell. I would say smell is probably the foremost. They do have good vision. They do have good night vision. Can you see her eyes reflecting? But between those senses, definitely sound. Lions are very vocal. They contact call. They have a really special voice box. It's not like ours. It's called the let's try that again, Lauren. Suspensorum. And it's not ossified. So what that means is it's not made from bone, it's made from cartilage, which is a really soft, flexible material. And therefore, when a lion makes any sort of vocalization, it vibrates. And this vibration allows for the sound to travel much further, be heard over great distances. I wonder if we'll hear any vocalizations from this lioness tonight. She'll only contact call if she wants to make contact. The calls can be heard over such great distances that sometimes we hear lions on the dam cam, but they're really, really far away. It's normally on average 7 kilometers, but on really, really cold days, it can be much further. You can hear lions calling from about 10 k's away. And when lions call outside your bedroom, that's really something else. Okay, I'm not going anywhere. I'm going to sit and hope that my lioness starts to call. But you guys, off you pop to swallow. Okay, you're not popping anywhere. Everyone, you're still with me. How fantastic is that? I think there's just a little issue with Dylan's feed. But that's okay. We're still going to watch this lioness. I can't believe it. We were actually racing to the hyena den, believe it or not. And you spot the vultures and immediately you know something is in the area. But as I mentioned earlier, because they have such keen eyesight, when you see the vultures, that doesn't necessarily mean that's where the kill is. Sometimes they sit quite far off from the kill. And the fact that they're sitting in this tree right now means it's a committee of vultures. They have different collective nouns depending on what they're doing. A kettle, yes, a kettle, refers to vultures in flight. And committee is when they're resting. And awake is when vultures are feeding on a carcass. Danny, you're saying she looks like the scruffy one. She's definitely got a few nicks in her ears. Hence the name. We're very good at naming the animals. Oh. That was a big yawn. So we're going to try one more time, everyone. I'm going to sit here with this lioness and offer you guys pop to Dylan at Swallow, Kalahari.
I'm absolutely loving watching these little batted foxes forage here. So just watch what they do. So they walk and then they listen. Look at that. Head down. You see that? Walk, listen. Walk, listen. And then they'll start digging. If they think they can hear something, they'll start digging for it. You must just imagine how acute and cute that sense of hearing is. It must be off the charts. I mean, just try and imagine yourself getting down on your hands and knees and listening for some little insect under the sand. And that's exactly what these guys are doing. So what we're seeing is hunting strategy. I mean, it's not just, there's a fox, a batted fox. Elena, who's 6, is wondering what they're digging for, and they're digging for insects. They are known to take other little arthropods, vertebrates, things like geckos and that, but their primary diet is insects. If I recall correctly, they've even been recorded taking fallen fruits. But I'd have to check that up, but I'm pretty sure I'm right. I thought I was wrong once, but I was wrong. But insects is their staple. It's their primary part of their diet. And they, in turn, I've actually watched lions killing battered foxes on Swallow. Leopards will take them, and Natal pythons, we used to be called an African rock python, they'll catch them. Birds of prey will take them. I mean, they're very small animals, and they're not true foxes. We call them foxes, but they're not true foxes. Remember that those of you who were with us, we saw that beautiful sighting of a Cape fox, also called a silver fox. That is a true fox. I'm just loving watching them using those ears, eh? Clive has asked, what is the rarest animal in our reserve? Well, there is this mythical creature out here called a snake weasel. It's also called a white-naped weasel or African striped weasel. I just love the colloquial name, a snake weasel. A sneasel. A sneasel. But that animal is incredibly rare. So in fact, I've never even seen one in 15 years. But I live in hope. One day when I'm big, I'll see one. It's such a beautiful area. This area, the Kalahari, is so diverse, the southern Kalahari, with these large flat bushlands, rolling dunes, hills, and that structural diversity gives the diversity in the plants and animals that occur here. I just want to sit here a little bit longer until the sun's well down, in case our nemesis, the aardwolf, arrives.
My lioness is also waiting. I don't know what she's waiting for. She's not made a sound. She's sniffing. Isn't she gorgeous? See, we're not shining any light in her eyes. It's the infrared camera that's picking up her eyes like that. And we were talking about vultures being very visual. And the reason I'm mentioning the vultures is because these vultures here, the whitebacks, they can follow lions for miles. And the minute they realize a kill has been made, there's going to be a carcass. There's going to be a moment for opportunity to swoop in and get some food. And some sources, not all, but there's suggestions that vultures can actually see a 6 centimeter object. I'm not entirely sure what that is in inches, my apologies, from 1 kilometer up in the sky. So a tiny 6 centimeter object, they can see it from that far away. And a vulture's eye is completely different from the eye of a lion. And they have 2 lenses. So the first lens is to broaden the landscape. So it's almost like a fisheye lens. I don't know if any of you are photographers or you've ever used a fisheye lens. They're fantastic for underwater. When you're trying to do underwater photography, you want to make everything much wider. So you use a fisheye. And the second lens in a vulture's eye, she's not enjoying this, is she? The second lens is to magnify. So vulture's eyes are very, very specialized. They rely on sight. I thought that was just interesting because we've been talking about a lion's senses. I think when you talk about an animal's sensory world, it's something that humans struggle to get their head around. Monique, yes, and she has lovely eyelashes. Mm-hmm. Gorgeous. What I would do for eyelashes like that, Monique. What a great find this lioness was. I'm over the moon, but we are going to send you across to Rowan, whose male lion is finally up and about.
So we left him briefly. There was some bushbuck alarm calling behind us. He just quickly went into that area, couldn't find anything. Came back and he had his head up, looking around, just listening around. There's really not too much else. Do you think if he's going to start calling, it might be a little bit later on? For now, there's, literally around us, we've got impalas ratting still, very late in the season, and a Scots owl. That's what we can hear for now. No other sound of lions or leopards in the area. I think this guy's still happy to just relax in the long grass for a little while longer. Interesting to hear what happens tonight. Because him being not too far from camp, we'll probably hear him pop up and contact call or roar, depending how brave he feels. He'll go louder and louder and louder when no one answers. Kerry, he moved his head once. Kerry's commenting that, saying he moved, but yeah, he didn't. Kerry is still exactly the same spot where he was at, 6:30 this morning. Actually, I think we found him at 6:20. So yeah, same spot still. It's an entire day. Okay, well, you can see he's still very happy just sleeping in the same position. As from my side, it's been wonderful getting to know all of you, taking on game riff. Now you lift your head up. What he's hearing is that bushbuck alarm calling. Okay, so we might sit here, just... Never mind. It's warming up. He's actually calling in the direction of where the bushbuck is alarm calling. So I think maybe in his mind he thinks the bushbuck might be seeing another lion. I was listening now just for any other noise, any other sound. Anyone out there? Anyone wants to answer him? Okay. Well, this is what we've been waiting for. All afternoon. So it's not even... Nice of him to give me a break from talking. I've been waiting for you all afternoon, boy. He's not even calling loudly, but where we are now, the vehicle is actually vibrating when he was calling in our direction. See, now he just sits and listens. But I think this might just keep going on all night. But this is what's going to keep us awake all night. Not complaining though, what an absolutely magnificent sound. But yeah, like I was saying earlier, it's been wonderful showing you guys and introducing to and beyond Ngala. But like I said, my last drive today, and very happy to have done this, but I should be seeing all of you again in about a month. I think we're going to start heading back to camp now. It's the end of the show. We'll hopefully be hearing this guy just pipe up every now and then as the night goes on. But what a wonderful day spent with all of you.